Troy. Mr. Thomas.
Don't have anything really new to present.
Okay.
The planning commission did revise the Sawyer property, or approved replatting of the Sawyer property because they discovered higher quality wetlands on the property when they started excavating for the storage units.
All right.
So,
That it? Good. All right, old business, spring edition of LBMD brochure. Lisa, have you made copies available for our commissioners?
Yes, everyone should have a copy. It's a 2-piece of paper mailing. 2 sides on 1 page. If you have any comments, additions, subtractions, please let me know. Edits. But this is what we're thinking of sending out within the next week or so.
You probably could add my name to it.
Only if you force us to. You're really
I'm
not on
sorry.
this? Gorgeous.
I do know on the back it says slow no lake 100 feet.
Yeah.
I think that at least the town's website says 200 feet. I just looked right now, so I just wanted to just.
I'm not sure if you were in on the,
So no changes were made too.
wakeboard, controversy last year, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And the town board, reached a, I don't know what legal grounds, but they came to a compromise and asked us to put the buoys at 100 feet out from the shore, and that the town police would not attempt to distinguish whether or not they were actually a full 200 feet off the shore in doing it, particularly in Mill Lake, because it's so small and people want to use it, and everybody seems to be living with that. Now, I had gone over it with Lisa, and we were not trying to say this is what it is.
Yeah.
We're saying, please stay outside those buoys. They are 100 feet, and everyone seems to agree that that's acceptable.
But Ron, you said it is
What-
200 feet.
I know what Wisconsin law is, it is 200.
It is
Yeah,
200
at least on
feet.
the town, ordinance website, so.
Yeah, I think it's
And I
200
don't,
feet.
and it's not so much the buoys, I guess it'd be more like from piers and rafts. I mean, I just think my recommendation would be there be some consistency with whatever the town is saying, but I understand that there's what is
Thank you,
out
Ryan.
there, what is being enforced.
Thank you, Ryan. There are times, sometimes when you just don't wanna kick that can. Please.
The Mill Lake thing worked out, I think, very well. Met enforcement there, and the other thing is that a buoy could be 100 feet, but the rule is 200 feet, so, you can't go by the buoy itself, you have to go by the law.
Sure, that, I am not suggesting, I just know,
And that's what I think the water patrol is doing.
Quick question. You guys gave out those nice little pamphlets or those brochures. They had them at the town hall here. They had them at the boat launch. Are you guys going to be reordering those at all? Because that has all that information right on that brochure.
Door hangers?
The
Was
door
that
hangers?
yeah,
Door hangers?
No, you guys did them.
The door hangers? I
No, 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 not door hangers.
You mean the
The
brochure?
pamphlet, brochure.
Tom, you're
Yeah.
here.
What's
You
the
wanna
name?
jump in on
Brochure
this?
emailed
Sure.
out to everybody.
We did do a bunch through the Lake Association, and there has been a request to do a reprint, and I know it's being worked on where it's currently at.
This was the one about that big, and it had the map on one side and it had the how far you got to be from shore on the other.
That's a hang tag, yeah.
That's the what now?
It's a door hanger,
It's got the
the
slots where
long thing.
homeowners wanna put it on their door so that it's easily accessible.
And I thought that
So
was-
that's one reason why.
This
we
wasn't
did
a
that.
multi-page thing, was it?
No, it was a single. You originally came out with one that was on a lesser quality paper, and the next batch, yeah, that right there. Yep.
Yep.
That's an original one though.
Door hangers.
That's the first version of. There's a second version that's got the.
We will,
Yeah.
That's
There
us.
is a-
Yeah.
we will
Okay.
look into it.
Yeah.
Are you looking
No,
into it?
Yeah, that's,
PIA is.
All right.
There was some changes that needed to be made to it, they were being made in the reading process. So,
Okay. Are
Our
those-
meeting is coming up, Saturday, the 12th of June,
Okay.
and there will be an update on it at that time.
Okay.
Just a second.
Another comment on the brochure that I have.
Okay.
On the map showing the critical habitat areas, they're really not critical habitat habitats, if you wanna call them something different than the sensitive areas, they should be areas of special natural resource interest.
Okay. This
Which
map
is not-
I actually got from the DNR website that lists it as critical habitat area. I didn't put that there. That's just a copy.
Critical habitat area is a federal designation, not a
Okay.
state designation.
Well, I pulled that from the Wisconsin DNR site, so
Okay.
I mean, I can erase that if you're not
No.
comfortable with.
Well, the sensitive areas are both sensitive areas and they're SNRI areas, or areas of special natural resource interest. ASNRI.
That's on there too.
Tom,
So we just had a joint meeting with the DNR a couple of weeks ago to talk about the sensitive areas on our lake. And they had indicated in that call that both titles of what you call it are equal. That, there's not any difference in whether it's called a sensitive area or what you just referred to, in
Critical
your statement.
habitat
Yeah.
areas, okay. So they're interchangeable terms, is what you're saying?
That's what the DNR said in the conference call. Cause we thought that
Whatever
there
you
could be
feel
an
comfortable
opportunity
saying.
for us to change the designations.
Okay.
alright, are we good? We good on that, Lisa?
Yeah, please email if you have any other suggestions or edits. And I'll be sure to add your name, John, I'm sorry. Let's make sure. we have this.
When does that go
When I get the thumbs up from everyone.
We got-
I'll give one last go at it.
If no one makes any further corrections,
Yeah, I'll email you one last time, okay? Okay.
alright? Alright, I'm gonna move on to new business, lake monitoring summary by Bob Nada. Discussion, possible action, Commissioner Becker, would you lead the discussion on this?
Well, the monitoring continues. I issued the report last time. I think everyone got a copy of that.
Everyone should have, all the commissioners should have the color copy, right, so you can see the graphs, et cetera,
It's on the website too,
on the website.
it's downloadable on the
I know
website.
people have been downloading it, so. Everything's pretty much status quo. The thing that we're concerned about, and it's not that it's an alarming thing, it's the fact that we don't have the data. And that is on the surface of the bottom of the lake. And the monitors we have there, and the effect of the well 7 on the bottom of the lake. So far, it's inconclusive. We've only had it there for about a half year. We got it, almost a little bit, 3/4 of a year. We put it in last fall and checked it again as the ice went out. And it's just too early to see a trend in any one direction there. But we are watching that very closely, and that'll be the thing. Everything else is pretty much status quo. That is, the levels, the test wells are the same. We did take one of the wells and capped it because it's been really static now for probably about 15 years. That's the one on my Stringer's Bridge property. And everything else seems to be just right on path, and I think you can get this from reading the report. I think we're set now that we are monitoring everything we need to monitor, and we'll continue to do that. And watching very diligently on the bottom of the lake. Now, we're picking up some signs, and I think the Protective Association picked them up too, is that some of the boats now are really disturbing the bottom of the lake. And these would be the boats with additional ballast in them for wakeboarding and that. They certainly don't do it in the middle of the lake, but even though they're not pulling skiers, they're still pretty heavy, and they do it when they get close to shore. So that's something that we are watching, and I think the Protective Association is watching too, to see what the effect is there. That's it.
I would point out that it is posted on our website, and also in our newsletter, there's a summary of it going out also. Now, Tom, I want to apologize that I didn't get you on the agenda. It was a goof up between Val and I, but I'll ask you to report towards the end of the meeting on.
Okay.
Okay.
One of the things that the monitors did point out, though, that they did have this same spikes as the test valves when valve number 7 kicked in.
Mm.
You could see the water fluctuate. Right?
That's correct, we pick it up in a number of different ways, you could see that. I mean, the question is it detrimental, and that's, you don't know yet.
It's a long process. I mean, we started this back with well 7. We won, but we lost in the Supreme Court. But the win that we got in the Supreme Court is if we can prove damage to the lake, we have a case.
And
And that's what we're gonna have to wait and determine.
the village has been very good, they recognize the situation, and, we work with them on it, so it's a good relationship there. And they participate in the measurements also.
Well, it's important because it reverses how the lake is replenished. It
It changes the temperature.
changes the temperature, but it also increases stormwater flow into the lake.
Which changes the alkalinity.
Calcium is probably the biggest thing, it's, the water in the lake is hard, and a good lake requires hard water. Maybe your shower doesn't, but the lake does, and that's the thing we watch very closely. And if you pump real hard, that calcium goes down, the hardness goes down. But hardness also locks up the phosphorus too, at the bottom of the lake, which you wanna do. I think we have just good diligence on the lake right now, through Bob Noda and through other people too, and through the USGS. So we're watching it.
One last question, John, is, Jim, are they moving the lake bed monitors from my area to a different one, or have they done that already? They told me to.
Oh, I don't know about that, I know
I think
yours is.
they're gonna move the one that's in
Mine's
my
in-
pay.
Mine is in the same place.
Mine's been in, but I think mine's gonna be moved. I'll follow up.
You have to pay them, you know, and if you don't pay them, don't.
Question.
I just had
Listen, I get a lot out of that.
Yeah, pay them.
I'm not trying to prolong the meeting by any means, Chad Wales. When you say that, I'm trying to understand, is it like when that well kicks on, is it like a pull? I mean, and when you say monitoring the bottom, is it actual draw? Cause it's all spring fed and they're saying it's in that aquifer.
That's a good point, yeah, it's,
I don't know what that means.
the water comes from the aquifer there,
Okay,
and when they pump, it sort of takes it out, and under normal circumstances, the aquifer flows into the lake, and it's all through the bottom, coming up, and, which is good, and that's how the lake is replenished. The lake gets its water from flow in through the various creeks and that, it gets it from rainfall, and it gets it from the aquifer coming in. And so that when you pump, it decreases the flow from the
okay.
aquifer, you know, and you can see it in the lake. Now, again, is that bad? It's probably not the best thing, but how bad is it? And that's what we're trying to figure
Okay.
out. And the town, I mean, the village is very good too, because if there's damage done, the village is liable, and it could cost them a bundle of money. So they wanna watch it and have due diligence too, and they're doing that.
great.
Good relationship.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thanks.
Wasn't always that way, but it's good now.
Okay, any other questions? All right, moving on. Item B, Lake Beulah Master Plan. And it's got my name on it. Several years ago, RJN, which is Bob Noda, who we use, wrote a strategic plan for Lake Beulah. Now in this type call that Tom referenced, and Greg was also in there, and he sent me notes on it, the DNR is recommending that we update this plan. I have talked to Bob Noda about it, and it is not, if we do it, it is not going to be a cheap thing. But he does think it's also, you know, it's not a bad idea to do it, and it makes sense, some certain amount of sense. He's willing to undertake the project. However, I feel that we need more information before we go forward with this. I'd also like to hear some discussion today. Possible things we can do, of course, is to contact the DNR and let them do more than just say something in a meeting. You know, if they think they really have a case for why it should be done, they should tell us. And I think, of course, if we're gonna go forward, first we should review the old document and see what we're gonna do and get quote for the, from RJN, not only on the, cost, but on the scope of it. So, it's a, this is one of those esoteric things in my book, that, you know, good planning is important, but you can over-plan and over-verbalize and over-document and over-study and spend money to come up with nothing, so. It's on the agenda for that reason, to get input today from anyone at the meeting. Dan?
Every 5 years, you know, we have to do a real, an aquatic plant study, which we are scheduled to do this summer. So isn't that part of the plan already, that, has what we are doing as far as the aquatic plants are taken care of?
Well, I can't speak for the DNR. I'm going from what the DNR said, and just trying to be very proactive here from the chair point of view and bring this out. I think it would behoove us, at the very least, to try to tie the two together, because we are going to have to study the lake, right? And not plot it, what would you say, survey it. And I think it might, but that's gonna be done by ponds and streams.
But it's part of our permit for harvesting, so
Right.
it's a requirement that the DNR is forcing us to do. So to me, it's part of what they're requiring.
Well, it's comprehensive,
So,
so that, but
I mean, I'm just questioning.
Well,
It sounds like
it's
we're
a good
double
point.
doing something.
No, we're not doing anything yet, we're discussing,
Yeah.
okay?
No, what I meant was, though, as far
It
as.
would be double doing, yeah.
I think it has
They have this survey plan of the aquatic plants.
biological input into it too.
Okay,
Biologists like Tim Ellinger from UWM would have input as to
Heidi Bunk would be.
fish species and habitats and physical description.
okay, all right.
I would think we'd wanna do it in conjunction with the important facilities on the lake and important organizations, and I think with the Protective Association, I think they wanna do the same thing, and we can combine resources and funding on this, and it'll help all of us, and then we'll come up with a document that everyone agrees to,
Well,
the DNR, from the Management District and the Protective Association.
Well, and Tom made a good point during the conference call that their fish spawning program provides, will increase the importance of the sensitive areas as a spawning ground for the fish species that they release into the lake.
I've got a question.
Yes,
Just one of my concerns is the cost, you know, as you said, the cost of everything, and now we're getting so close to planning our budget for, you know, next year, for, you know, the annual meeting that's gonna be, you know, coming up. So for you, if we don't include something in that for this, are you gonna be in trouble if we?
well, we haven't got
Getting out that
budgeted,
money?
we can always, we've got cash. We could always make a special item and get it approved by the board and spend the money.
Well, that's my point, is should we go ahead and with Bob and get an estimate of the cost of doing the report, just so that then, you know, Chris could decide, okay,
Well, I think we have to first figure out who's gonna participate, and then come up with what we want, and then figure out how we do it.
okay.
But
But that's gonna take some time, so my point is, if we do it later on, past our budget, you know.
It going to next year, it's all valid. We can't rush this into, for the sake of a budget deadline this year.
I don't think that's a problem. You agree? Budget.
No.
Well, I think
your
Chris should
budget's
be
a-
handling
no.
that
Yeah.
part of it, so do you think it's a problem, or?
We don't,
Depending on how
we
much
don't
it
know
is.
how much.
It's gonna cost you, I have no idea.
Val's point is, if we can know what this might cost, if we know by early August, we can put it in the annual budget, and that's what we should do if we know what the price is.
You're assuming we are going to do this
If we're gonna
next
do it.
year.